They called us fragile, powerless, until they realized what we were breathing. The sky split open in the middle of the day. Dark, metallic ships hovered above cities worldwide, casting enormous shadows that swallowed skyscrapers whole. People gathered on rooftops and in streets, phones raised, capturing the eerie calm before the chaos. There were no booming announcements, no grand displays of power, just silence. Then came the laughter. It echoed inside the ships, broadcasted to every speaker, every screen, in every language. A deep, guttural sound, amused, mocking. "This is your savior," the alien voice taunted. "So fragile, so weak. A species that depends on invisible air to survive? How quaint." In one of the ships, high above what was once Chicago, the alien commander, Vornak, observed Earth through a shimmering blue screen. His towering, sinewy frame bent slightly as he studied human anatomy, softer bodies, limited strength, and an odd reliance on oxygen. He sneered. "They'll crumble the moment we step foot on their soil," he muttered. Around him, alien scientists worked diligently, analyzing Earth's environment. Transparent vials filled with swirling samples of the planet's air lined the lab. To them, this was a formality. Humanity was an easy conquest, a species more likely to cry than to fight. "Begin the atmospheric scan," Vornak ordered, waving a clawed hand. One of the scientists activated a pulsating orb. Beams of light scattered into Earth's atmosphere, pulling data back into the ship. The readouts flickered: oxygen, nitrogen, trace gases, all expected. But then, a strange symbol appeared on the screen. The scientist furrowed his brow, tapping the console. "Commander, there's something." "Irrelevant. Prepare the descent." "No, Vornak. Look." The screen zoomed into the molecular structure of Earth's air, revealing something foreign, an undetectable energy signature laced within the oxygen molecules, invisible to the human eye but reactive to their technology. It wasn't just air, it was alive in a way their science couldn't explain. Vornak's smug expression faltered. He reached out, his hand hovering over the screen. "That's impossible, this planet is primitive." Suddenly, a soft humming filled the room. The vials containing Earth's air began to vibrate, their contents swirling faster. Without warning, one shattered, releasing a faint mist. A nearby scientist inhaled the cloud and staggered back, clutching his chest. His skin darkened, veins glowing faintly, before he collapsed to the ground, lifeless. The lab fell silent. Vornak took a cautious step back, his mind racing. Seal the lab. No more exposure. As alarms blared, a horrifying realization dawned on him: this wasn't just air. Earth had a defense system, silent, invisible, and already inside them. For the first time in centuries, Vornak felt fear. "What is this place?" he whispered. Vornak paced inside the sealed lab, his heavy boots echoing against the metallic floor. The body of the fallen alien scientist still lay there, motionless, its veins faintly glowing, a haunting reminder that something on Earth was far more dangerous than they'd anticipated. "Run deeper scans," Vornak barked, his voice tense. The remaining scientists, visibly shaken, hurried to comply. The air inside the ship had been entirely purged, and the remaining Earth samples were now contained behind reinforced barriers. But the readings didn't make sense. "Commander," one of the lead scientists, Draylon, spoke hesitantly. "The energy signature within the air, it's unlike anything we've encountered." Vornak narrowed his eyes. "Explain." Draylon brought up the molecular structure on the display. "It's as if the air itself carries a latent force, a kind of dormant energy. It activates under specific conditions, perhaps when it detects foreign biology." Vornak clenched his jaw. "You're telling me this planet's air is a weapon?" Draylon hesitated before responding, not intentionally. "It's more like the planet has evolved a defense system. The humans breathe it without harm, but our biology, any foreign biology, is incompatible. The commander's thoughts raced. How had a primitive planet like Earth managed to develop something so advanced? Was it a natural phenomenon or something else? Meanwhile, on Earth, in a remote underground lab beneath the Colorado Rockies, Dr. Elena Mercer, a leading atmospheric scientist, sat in front of a console filled with live feeds from around the world. She had spent years studying anomalies in Earth's atmosphere, tiny fluctuations in energy that most had dismissed as background noise. But now, with the alien ships hovering above, it all made horrifying sense. They found it, she whispered to herself. Her assistant, Jake, stood behind her, wide-eyed. You're saying the air is what's killing them? Elena nodded, pulling up her research files. I've theorized for years that Earth's atmosphere isn't just a mixture of gases. There's something else, an ancient bioenergy interwoven into it. It's harmless to us, but to outsiders, it's lethal. Jake glanced at the monitors showing footage of alien ships still floating ominously above major cities. So we're safe? Elena's face darkened. Not exactly. If they figure out how to neutralize it, we lose our only advantage. Back on the alien ship, Vornak stood before his war council. The room buzzed with tension. Earth has hidden defenses, he growled. But no planet is invincible. Draylon stepped forward. We could attempt to release a neutralizing agent, something that purges their atmosphere of the energy signature. It would eliminate the threat. Vornak considered it. And the humans? They'd suffocate within hours. The room fell into silence. Vornak's gaze hardened. Prepare the neutralizer. This planet will kneel. The Earth trembled beneath the weight of an unseen threat. The alien ships remained eerily still in the skies, their metallic hulls reflecting the dim sunlight. Across the globe, humanity held its breath, unaware that their very air, once considered a symbol of life, had become both their shield and their curse. Inside the Colorado lab, Dr. Elena Mercer slammed her fist onto the console, frustration radiating through her. Every second they hesitated, the aliens drew closer to neutralizing Earth's one advantage. We need a way to amplify the atmospheric energy, Elena muttered. Jake, pacing nervously, turned toward her. Amplify it? Elena, if we mess with the balance, it might harm us too. I know, she replied, eyes distant. But if they succeed in neutralizing the energy, we're done for. We either fight back or choke on our own atmosphere once it's stripped. A low hum buzzed through the lab as emergency broadcasts flickered on nearby monitors. Across the world, military forces stood ready but powerless, their weapons dwarfed by the alien threat. Suddenly, a sharp beep echoed from Elena's console. A direct signal, from the alien ship. Jake's eyes widened. They're trying to communicate? Elena hesitated before answering. No. They're broadcasting a warning. The screen filled with static before revealing Vornak's towering figure, his cold, calculating eyes piercing through the transmission. People of Earth, his voice boomed, you stand on the edge of extinction. Surrender, and your deaths will be swift. Resist, and you will suffocate as your precious air turns against you. The message cut off, leaving only the heavy hum of machines. In space, a growing divide. Aboard the alien mothership, tension grew. Not all agreed with Vornak's brutal approach. Draylon stood quietly in his quarters, staring at the data on his holoscreen. The atmospheric energy puzzled him, it wasn't random. It seemed intentional, almost sentient. It's like the planet itself is protecting them, he whispered. A soft chime echoed through his quarters. Another scientist, Maelys, entered, her face pale. I saw the readings, she said. Draylon, this isn't natural. There's a force here, something ancient, woven into the very fabric of Earth. He nodded. We might be making a grave mistake. Melis hesitated before leaning closer. What if we could communicate with it? Understand it? Maybe there's another way. But time was running out. Vornak's plan to release the neutralizer was already in motion. Back on Earth, a desperate plan. Elena's hands trembled as she scribbled calculations. If we can find the atmospheric core, the source of this energy, we might be able to boost its output temporarily, she explained to Jake. Enough to push back the neutralizing agent. Jake looked at her, uncertainty written across his face. But that's assuming it even has a core. We're running on theories here, Elena. We don't have a choice, she replied. The only known location where the atmospheric anomalies were strongest was Mount Erebus, a remote, active volcano in Antarctica. The core energy readings there were off the charts. We need to get there, Elena declared. It's our only shot. Jake sighed. Then we better move fast. As they gathered their gear, a soft voice crackled through the radio, an encrypted message from an unknown source. If you're hearing this, we can help. We're not all your enemies. Elena and Jake exchanged stunned glances. It's coming from the alien ship, Jake whispered. Hope flickered, fragile but alive. The world's fate hung in the balance as Elena and Jake, along with a small team of military experts, set out on a perilous journey to Mount Erebus. But as the alien fleet loomed overhead, an unexpected ally reached out, a voice that would change everything. The hidden signal. As Elena sat in the cockpit of the transport plane, her thoughts raced. The message from the alien ship had been brief, but its implications were enormous. We can help. The voice, distorted by static, hadn't belonged to Vornak, but to someone with an entirely different agenda. Who could possibly want to help us? Jake muttered, his eyes glued to the ever-present alien ships visible through the window. Elena's fingers tapped nervously on the console. I don't know, but we have no choice. If they can give us a lead on the atmospheric core, we need to listen. Suddenly, another encrypted transmission came through. This time, it was clearer. Elena Mercer, we know you are on your way to Erebus. We are watching your progress. There is no time to waste. Follow our instructions. The core's energy can be used against them, but only if you trust us. Jake frowned, his fingers hovering over the console's controls. This is crazy, we're taking orders from them now? We don't have another option, Elena replied. The message included coordinates, directly toward a hidden facility buried deep within the Antarctic ice. The plan was clear: find the core, activate it, and harness its energy before the alien fleet released the neutralizer. The journey would be long and dangerous, but it was humanity's only hope. In the heart of Antarctica, the icy landscape stretched endlessly, a barren wasteland of frozen winds and blinding snow. Mount Erebus loomed in the distance, its summit shrouded by clouds. Elena, Jake, and their team descended into the facility, a massive underground base built centuries ago by an unknown civilization. Inside, the temperature dropped further, and an eerie hum filled the air, resonating from deep within the mountain. This place, it feels ancient, one of the soldiers whispered. Elena's voice was steady as she led the way, a beacon of hope despite the overwhelming odds. Stay focused. We're looking for the core. Once we find it, we need to harness its energy, fast. The team navigated the dark hallways, finding evidence of technology far more advanced than their own. Strange symbols adorned the walls, almost like a warning, but there was no time to decipher them. They pressed on, deeper into the labyrinth. Eventually, they reached a massive chamber. At its center, encased in glass, lay a pulsating sphere, a perfect sphere, glowing with an otherworldly light. That's it, Elena breathed. That's the core. But as they moved closer, the ground trembled. The lights flickered. "We're not alone." Jake's voice was tight with fear. Suddenly, the doors slammed shut, trapping them inside. From the shadows, a figure stepped forward, a tall, humanoid being with skin as white as the ice surrounding them. It was one of the aliens. But this one was different. "I warned you," the alien said, its voice calm but menacing. "You should not have come here." Elena's heart raced, but she refused to show fear. "You're the one who sent the message." The alien nodded slowly. "I did, and I have my reasons. But your presence here has complicated things. If you wish to survive, you must trust me." Jake stepped forward, his hand on his weapon. "Trust you? After everything your people have done?" The alien's gaze softened slightly. "My people are not all the same. I am an outcast. My name is Draylon. I once believed in the mission to destroy Earth, but now I see the truth. Your world is unique, its atmosphere, it has a power we cannot ignore." Drellon's voice wavered as he continued. "I can help you, but you must act quickly. The neutralizer will soon be deployed, and it will strip your atmosphere of the energy you rely on. Without that, you are nothing." Elena's mind raced. "How can you help us? What do you want in return?" "I want nothing but to stop Vornak," Draylon said, his tone intense. "If you activate the core's energy, we can use it to fight back, but it must be done carefully. If you trust me, I can guide you." The betrayal of Vornak. As Draylon spoke, Elena felt a flicker of hope. Could this alien be telling the truth? Or was this yet another trap? But as she looked around at the determined faces of her team, she realized there was no choice. They had to take this risk. "We're in this together," Elena said, her voice firm. "Guide us. We'll do whatever it takes." Draylon nodded, leading them toward the core. But as they approached, a shadow crossed the room. Vornak's towering figure appeared in the doorway, flanked by his warriors. "I knew you would betray us, Draylon," Vornak's voice boomed. "You've chosen a side. Now, you will die with them." A fight was inevitable, but Drellon's defection had already begun to sow discord within the ranks of the alien invaders. The next battle for Earth's survival was about to begin. The ground shook beneath their feet as Elena's team and the alien invaders, led by the now defected Draylon, stood at a deadly crossroads. Vornak's forces were closing in, their weapons charged and ready to unleash destruction. The tension in the air was palpable, thick with the scent of impending doom. A sudden onslaught. "Prepare yourselves," Elena whispered, her voice barely audible over the sound of the rumbling earth. She could hear Vornak's voice, amplified by the alien technology, echoing through the cavern. "You are nothing but insects in my eyes," Vornak's voice boomed. "Your planet will burn, and you will be forgotten." Elena gripped her weapon tightly, her mind racing. They had come so far. The core, the hope for humanity's survival, was just within reach, but they had to fight for it. Jake, ever the optimist, was ready. "We're not going down without a fight, Elena. We've got this." Draylon, standing at Elena's side, nodded gravely. "Your world's atmosphere holds more energy than Vornak understands. He plans to neutralize it, but it's the very thing that can destroy him." Elena's eyes locked onto the alien leader, whose malevolent eyes bore down on them. "Then let's make sure he understands that," she said, her voice full of resolve. The standoff continued for a few moments longer before chaos erupted. Vornak's forces charged forward, their plasma weapons discharging at lightning speed. Elena's team, with Drellon's unexpected help, fought back fiercely. The first blow. A soldier in Elena's group, caught off guard, was struck by a beam from one of Vornak's warriors. He fell to the ground, the life quickly draining from his body. Elena's heart raced as she heard the cry of her comrade. But there was no time to grieve. "Hold your ground," she shouted, rallying her remaining soldiers. Jake fired, his shots landing with precision as he took down one of Vornak's warriors. Draylon, using his advanced alien knowledge, activated a shield that deflected incoming plasma beams. "This will hold for a few moments, but it won't last long. You must access the core and activate it before it's too late." Elena nodded, her eyes scanning the battlefield. The core was their last hope. The core's power. The chamber was chaotic, with blasts of light and explosions rippling through the air. Elena pushed forward with a determination she never thought possible. They reached the center of the room, where the pulsating core lay dormant, waiting for someone to awaken its power. "This is it," Elena said, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "We need to power it up." Draylon knelt beside the core, his hands dancing over the strange alien symbols embedded on its surface. As he did, the core's pulse began to quicken, glowing brighter and brighter. Elena held her breath as the energy from the core began to resonate with the atmosphere of Earth. "It's working!" Jake exclaimed, his voice filled with awe. "But how long do we have?" "Not long," Draylon replied. "Vornak knows what we're doing. He'll try to stop us at all costs." As if on cue, Vornak roared in fury, charging toward them with his warriors in tow. The ground shook with the force of their assault. An unlikely sacrifice. With the core now activated, a massive surge of energy shot out, crackling and surging through the chamber. The alien invaders staggered as the wave of power hit them, their shields flickering in an attempt to absorb the energy. But Vornak, relentless in his pursuit, was too close. "Elena, we need to hold him off." Jake yelled, but before he could react, Vornak was upon them. Elena's heart pounded as Vornak's monstrous form loomed over her, his weapon aimed directly at her chest. "You are too weak to survive this." But just as the weapon discharged, Draylon stepped forward, his body absorbing the blast. Elena screamed as the alien's body collapsed, his last act of defiance saving them all. "No!" Elena cried, rushing to his side. "Why did you?" Draylon, weak and bloodied, looked up at her with a faint smile. "I told you. I choose to stop this." His voice was faint, but there was peace in his eyes. "Humanity has something we don't. Something we never understood. Don't waste it." The turning point. With Drellin's sacrifice, the core's power surged uncontrollably, breaking through the alien force's defenses. The remaining invaders were forced to retreat, their ships disengaging as their energy was drained. Vornak, enraged and weakened, barely had time to respond before the core's energy reached its peak. In a final, desperate move, he charged at Elena. But it was too late. The energy released from the core wrapped around him, pulling him toward the center. As the energy enveloped Vornak, he screamed in fury and agony, his body disintegrating in the wake of the intense power. The aftermath. Elena collapsed to her knees, exhausted and overcome with emotion. They had won, but at such a cost. Drellin's sacrifice, the destruction of the alien invaders, everything had come down to this one moment. Jake, who had been by her side through it all, placed a hand on her shoulder. "We did it." His voice was steady, but his eyes held a deep sadness. Elena looked up at the sky, seeing the alien ships retreating. Earth was safe, for now. But there would be no forgetting what they had endured. The dust was beginning to settle. The once chaotic battlefield was now eerily silent, save for the distant hum of Earth's atmosphere stabilizing. Elena stood amidst the wreckage, her thoughts heavy as she looked around. The ruins of what had been their last stand marked the end of an era, and the beginning of something entirely new. The cost of victory. In the days following the battle, the human race was left to rebuild. Entire cities had been destroyed, and countless lives lost. But amidst the devastation, there was hope, hope born from humanity's ability to rise from the ashes and rebuild what had been taken from them. Elena sat in the command center of the Global Defense Force, staring at a map of Earth. It was hard to believe that only a few days ago, Earth had been on the brink of destruction. Now, the world leaders were working together, pooling resources, and making plans for the future. The energy from the core, now fully harnessed, was being used to power cities, heal the environment, and even help the wounded. There was a sense of unity, something that hadn't existed before the alien invasion. But for Elena, the victory felt hollow. Drellan's sacrifice haunted her every moment. He had given everything for humanity, his life, his people's future, and she couldn't help but wonder if they were truly worthy of such a gift. Jake's efforts to move on. Jake was doing his best to hold things together. He was leading efforts to clear the debris, helping to reunite displaced families, and providing aid to the injured. His optimism hadn't waned, if anything, it had grown stronger. But even he, the ever-hopeful soldier, couldn't shake the weight of what they'd lost. "It's all worth it, Elena," he said one evening as they sat together watching the sunset. "We've lost a lot, but we've gained something too. We've proven that we can survive anything, no matter the odds. We've shown the universe that humanity is stronger than they ever imagined." Elena nodded, her thoughts distant. "But at what cost?" she whispered, barely audible over the wind. Jake didn't have an answer. There was no simple way to respond to the magnitude of their loss. But there was truth in what he said. They had survived. They had beaten an enemy stronger than any they'd ever faced, and in doing so, they had shown the universe that humanity would never bow down. The Alien Council's response. Far away from Earth, in the heart of the alien galaxy, a council of the most powerful races in the universe convened. The reports of Earth's unexpected resistance and the overwhelming power of its atmosphere had reached them all. A few had been skeptical at first, dismissing the idea that Earth, an insignificant planet in the grand scheme of things, could be a real threat. But now, with the destruction of Vornak and his army, they were forced to reconsider. "We underestimated them," the voice of the council leader echoed in the chambers. "We believed them weak, primitive, but their will to survive is beyond anything we've encountered. This planet, these humans, they are a force to be reckoned with." One of the council members, a reptilian being from a distant star system, spoke up. "Should we not try to make contact? They might be a valuable ally, considering their unexpected resilience. Their unique atmosphere could be harnessed for our own gain." The leader of the council paused, a long silence stretching between them all. "We will proceed with caution," he said finally. "We must learn more about this planet and its people. If their strength is truly as great as they've shown, we cannot afford to ignore them. But we must also ensure that their newfound power does not become a threat to our own." The decision was made. Earth would no longer be seen as a weak, insignificant planet. It was a force in the galaxy now, one that could either be an ally or a dangerous enemy. The legacy of Drellan. Back on Earth, the days turned into weeks, and humanity began to rebuild. But Elena couldn't move forward without reflecting on the past. Drellan's sacrifice weighed heavily on her heart. His people, once conquerors of worlds, had chosen to stand with humanity in their moment of need. He had given his life not just to stop Vornak, but to protect the Earth from a future where they would be nothing more than another conquered race. Elena made it her mission to honor Drellan's memory. She worked tirelessly with global leaders to ensure that the knowledge they had gained from the alien technology would not be used for destruction. Humanity's future was no longer just about survival, it was about building a legacy of peace and unity that would stretch across the stars. In the years that followed, Earth entered a new era. No longer the underdog, humanity began to expand, using the power of the core to reach out into space. They sent expeditions to other planets, making first contact with other races, not as a conquered species, but as a rising power, ready to share their knowledge and learn from others. Elena's final decision. One day, years after the battle, Elena stood alone at the edge of the new global capital, gazing out at the horizon. The sun was setting, casting long shadows over the peaceful city that had risen from the ashes. The air was cleaner than it had ever been, thanks to the technology they had developed in the wake of the alien invasion. The world was healing. But Elena knew there was still much work to be done. Drellin's people were gone, but the lessons they had taught humanity would last forever. The power of the core, now stabilized and integrated into Earth's infrastructure, had not only powered cities but had also sparked an era of cooperation and innovation. The world had changed. The fear that once gripped Earth's people had been replaced with a cautious optimism. As the dust settled from the alien invasion, a new era began to unfold, and humanity's place in the universe was no longer defined by weakness but by strength and resilience. The scars of war remained, but so did the lessons learned from those trying days. A legacy beyond Earth. Elena stood before the Global Council, now serving as its chairperson. The weight of the responsibility felt familiar. She had once been a soldier, fighting on the front lines, but now she led an entire planet in the aftermath of a war that had forever altered the course of history. Around her, leaders from every corner of Earth, scientists, engineers, diplomats, and military officials, gathered to discuss the future. The new generation of humanity had grown up in the shadow of the alien invasion, their minds shaped by the unity and strength that had emerged from the crisis. It was this generation that would carry forward the lessons of resilience, the idea that Earth was no longer a planet to be ignored. Their destiny now stretched beyond the stars. The new alliance between Earth and several other alien species, formed in the aftermath of the conflict, was already yielding benefits. Through peaceful exchanges, humanity began to share its unique knowledge, how to harness the power of the core, the secrets of the atmosphere's special properties, and the value of unity in the face of overwhelming odds. Jake's role in the future. Jake had become more than just a soldier in the years that followed the war. He had taken on a new role, leading Earth's defense forces, training the next generation of soldiers not for combat, but for peacekeeping. He was a hero to the people, but in his eyes, it was the sacrifices of so many others that had truly won the war. It's not just about fighting, Jake would tell the young recruits. It's about understanding that strength isn't just physical. It's in how we come together, how we put aside our differences, and how we fight for each other. His words became the foundation of the new Earth military doctrine, one that prioritized cooperation over aggression. He worked tirelessly to ensure that the horrors of the past would never be repeated, guiding humanity toward a future where strength meant protecting and preserving life. The unexpected return. One day, as Elena sat in her office reviewing reports, the unexpected happened. A transmission came through, an encrypted message from the very beings who had once threatened humanity's existence. The aliens who had attacked Earth were not the only race in the galaxy that had taken notice of humanity's strength. Elena, the message began. We are the Zorath. We have been observing your world, and we have come to offer a proposition. We see what you have built in the wake of destruction. We wish to learn from you. Will you allow us to join your new alliance? The Zorath were the most advanced race to have observed humanity during the war. Their technology was unmatched, their fleet enormous, and their desire for conquest unquenchable. But something had shifted. They no longer saw Earth as a planet to be conquered, but as a potential partner in a shared future. The message was clear: humanity had gained the respect of even the most formidable forces in the universe. The decision of unity. Elena stood in front of the council once again, this time not as a survivor, but as a leader tasked with determining humanity's path forward. The message from the Zorath was not an isolated incident. Several other alien species had come forward, offering alliances and seeking guidance in a universe that had begun to see Earth in a new light. The council deliberated long into the night. Some feared that the Zorath were simply seeking to manipulate Earth for their own gain. Others believed that humanity had earned the right to stand shoulder to shoulder with these powerful beings. Elena was torn. She knew the risks, but she also knew that their survival depended on forging new relationships with the very species that had once been their enemies. "We have the chance to shape a future that none of us could have imagined," Elena said, standing before the council. "We can either isolate ourselves, living in fear of what might come next, or we can reach out, as we did when we faced the darkest moments of our past. The strength we have now is not just in our power, it's in our willingness to trust, to connect, and to build a future that is greater than the sum of our parts." The council voted in favor of reaching out to the Zorith and the other species. Earth would not hide from the universe, it would take its place among the stars. Jake's personal journey. Years passed, and Jake's role in the Intergalactic Alliance grew. He was now not only a leader on Earth, but a key figure in the newly formed Galactic Peacekeeping Force. His mission was clear: to protect the peace that had been forged through bloodshed, to ensure that the legacy of those who had fallen would never be forgotten. One day, as he looked out over Earth from the command center, he found himself reflecting on everything they had been through. The pain, the loss, the fear, it was all still with him, but it no longer defined him. What defined him now was the hope that had emerged from those dark days. "We did it, Draylon," Jake whispered, his voice barely audible. "We did it for you, for all of us." The wind outside carried the whispers of a new dawn, one where humanity's future was no longer uncertain.